facing between two brothers, right? It's like two brothers from the same womb that have a common house, and someone comes to seed problems to divide them, so they end up fighting with knives or with their fists. So the brothers end up hurting each other, killing each other. So then someone who's a gossip comes from here or there to divide the common family, the common house that is Colombia and Venezuela, which is the nucleus of the big homeland. That's why we launched the proposal of the binational areas of peace, which I can now say are moving forward with very big steps in the binational peace zone number 1. That's why I invited Luis Caldera right there in Santa Marta, Caldao. There's a very big mobilization of the Maicay people for the peace of Venezuela, defending Venezuela, for the union of both countries. It's very good that we have taken this path and we have consolidated, or we're going to consolidate, 3 peace areas. Area number 1, Zulia and Táchira. Zone number 2, Apure, and zone number 3, the Amazon. And there's good news. Luis Caldera, let's share with us how these multidimensional efforts are moving forward on zone number 1. Well, good night, Mr. President. Thank you for this invitation. With our brother governor of the Amazon, we can say that in the country there's already concrete actions that are giving results, because when you talked about these binational areas of peace, you of course talked about the security in the borders. We in Zulia have 21 municipalities, of which 7 share borders with Colombia, with 3 departments, with the Department of La Guajira, El Cesal, and the north of Santander. And in that borderline number 1 crimes, we have 1860 communities, and out of all of those communities, 162 are on the borderline, which means that they have an exchange, a daily one, with a brother Republic of Colombia. And on the second place, we have in the border of Zulia. It's an ancestral thing, because we used to be one single people that later, when colony came here, they divided everything, like they always did. They divided us and launched that imaginary line, but it couldn't break with the great Guayu Nation. Today, the Guayu Nation, which is the biggest indigenous group in Venezuela, with over 500,000 men and women, they live daily between Venezuela and Colombia. For example, there's brothers who die in Venezuela, but their remains have to be sent to Colombia. And there's a mountain system and a whole living system that when we go study them 10 years later, for the eternal rest, they have to go to Colombian territory, and that's where we have double nationalities thanks to Hugo Chavez and the Constitution, and that won't be broken by anyone. And then, President, in our battles, of course, the naval battle of El Lago, where Colombians and Venezuelans and all of our heroes, men and women of the Lake of Maracaibo 202 years ago, gave us. And of course, now with these binational areas, we are strengthening areas that are common, like for example, the commercial exchange that is very fluent between Maicao and Maracaibo, between Rio Hacho and Maracaibo, and between products and activities. We have 91 authorizations of SENIAC and our customs that share with Colombia and Venezuela in the exporting and importing factor. And in the area of the south of the lake, we also have the exchange of La Palma Aceitera, which we both produce, and all of has to do with cow production in the municipalities of Catacumbo, Colón, Francisco Javier. And today we can say, President, that thanks to this instruction of you, this vision of the big homeland, we have security in the borders, and that makes that we are developing activities that are somehow having bigger consequences. And finally, President, there's a development that you have instructed to us in the border that is binational. In all of these activities, the area of infrastructure, of viality, of health services, I can tell you, Mr. President, that since you announced, we started building the street of Matique, where that goes through all of that border, and today it already has 42 new kilometers. And what has to do also with the streets to Paraguachon, we have 17 new kilometers there from Sinamaica to Paraguapoa in the areas of the two main areas in Machica, Colón, that connects with the state of Táchira. In health, you are going to be able to inaugurate on October 12th the National Hospital, Binational Hospital of Guarabaipoa. Has that name because many of the Guayu people will be able to attend themselves here and in Colombian territory. And here, and also in Machique, Mr. President, you will inaugurate the hospital of the indigenous people, Nuestra Señora del Carmen, in the people of Machique. And day before yesterday, we inaugurated the hospital Roque in Catacumbo near the river. We had a rehabilitation room. So it's not only peace, which is the most great thing that we have in security, development is a commercial exchange, and it's a respect for the ancestral. That's why the brothers and sisters of Fonseca marched, and the concentration came out of that town from Uribe. Another concentration came from Maicao as well, and they all reached Paraguaychon, where they were received with joy and a solidarity message that they sent to you. See, those are news that did not transcend. These are news that are covered. So there you have it. So you articulate yourselves. Okay, so you both have French last names and you can have a joint business of a barbershop. It is impressive how we're moving forward each one of these actions, but we also have to improve the communication. We have to talk more and communicate more, because it is impressive the mobilization that was yesterday from the Colombian side. Thousands of people that self-convoked themselves, because from Colombia we only had one message, and from all of South America and all the Bolivarian countries, if you touch Venezuela, you will touch all of us, and we will defend ourselves, joined again as we did 200 years ago with Bolivar at the front line. We will continue to preserve the peace, but building. If you want peace, prepare yourself to preserve it, to defend it, to build it. And it's about building it. What a detail, what a data. 1,800 communities, 182 communities directly on the border. It is a border that has pores, that it's alive, that it's active. There's a very big problem, unfortunately, because of the economic model that it's illegal, that was built by the oligarchy of Colombian from the famous last names, and the new oligarchy of Uribe, that during 40 years they set up a structure to sell drugs to the world, but especially to the United States. Only the President Gustavo Petro, truly coming from the popular basis, is facing all of the mafias. Before, we had to deal with Pastrana, who multiplied by twice the production of drugs and the selling to the United States, and the Pastrana of the Einstein Island. You understand me? We had to deal for 8 years with Uribe, who then wanted to launch a war against Venezuela. And who is Uribe? Uribe is the spoiled kid of Pablo Escobar Gaviria, the king of evil. Uribe It's like Pablo Escobar Gaviria, but alive and well, I am not exaggerating. The Colombian people knows it is like that. The Colombian people, they know it's like that. They normalize it. Then we had to deal with 8 years of Juan Manuel Santos and his lies, his maneuvers for war, and then we had to deal 4 years with Iván Duque, who was the personal chief of the mafias of La Guajira and drug trafficking in that area. The people in Colombia know it. The people in La Guajira know it as well. So what we are building there is the possibility of a region, binational region of peace, and that Colombia finds its path to substitute the 50,000 acres that they have of coca leaves on the Colombian side of Catacumbo. That would be the great accomplishment of Colombia, and we already have a great accomplishment, that is that on the Venezuelan side, the whole state of Zulia, all of the state of Táchira, is territory free of production of coca leaves, of cocaine, and free of armed drug trafficking bands, thanks to the efforts that we have done. Free, free, and free finally. And in eternal combat, the other day, the political forces inserted themselves in the catacombs, and they saw 7 acres with some trees growing. Then they captured some people, 7 acres, because it was right next to the border. So it was 7 acres of coca leaves, and right there they cut them, because in Venezuela that won't happen. We are a territory free of it. In Colombia, there will be the day where they won't have any either. Step by step, the military coordination and with the police is each day better, with the local chiefs of Colombia and the national one also, both in area number 1, because the key is that it's an integral concept, and that's the message I sent to President Petro and the Colombian government, that the binational zone of peace and sovereignty has to be an area of integral development with industrial production, investment, new crop, commerce of both nations active, very active in both nations, exchange of education, permanent culture, communication permanent as well between governors, mayors, deputies, and authorities that are legitimate, and operations that are permanent and joint between military, police forces, and the flourishing of all of the ways of cooperation for the peace of two brothers, Colombia and Venezuela, that will never and won't ever have a fight, and especially not a conflict of a military nature. When you were in Zulia and you were moving, and with all that you were telling us, now here Miguel, so congratulations to you, because today is the day of your saint. Here Miguel was passing by the Amazon River, which is a beauty. You have to take all of these kids so they can know that. So he was passing by the Colombian side because he had a very special meeting with 2 governors of the border, Colombian border with Venezuela, and great news came from that, and Miguel has it right now. Good afternoon. The first thing that I have to tell you is that there's no record of a meeting like this one in the last 40 years. We can talk about that it's about a historical event, the first national forum. We call it Binational Orinoco for the Integration of the Peace, assisted by the governor of Pichada, of the capital of Puerto Carreño. So the governor of Pichada was there.